Hi my friends, this is Lance from bestkidsolutions.com, and in today's video we're going to be discussing ways to help a child with Asperger's, otherwise known as high functioning ASD. This is a super important topic. These fine kids need the most help they can get, and let's get right to it. If you're new to the channel, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, thanks for being here. I am an award-winning educator. I've taught for over 20 years. I am a father of two amazing young daughters. My wife is an amazing mother, as well as a special needs teacher. And both of my parents have been teaching in the public school system for over 40 years each. And so as you can see, our family has spent a long time helping what we believe are the most important people on this planet. And those are, of course, kids, parents, and teachers. So we're glad you're here, and let's get right into the topic. Now, back in the day, they used to call our friends that were higher on the ASD spectrum, they were children with Asperger's. And of course, they continue as an adult. And many times with Asperger's, or in now what they are calling is high functioning ASD, it is important to understand that a lot of times that they can function awesomely, if that's a word, into society with some help, and they just have a couple things that they need to work on in order for them to continue to be successful. And in this video, we're discussing just 3 of them. We actually have 11 in the article at bestkidsolutions.com, which would be 11 ways to help a child with Asperger's, or now called high functioning ASD. And this is just a short summary on how to help our friends kind of get to the spot that they need to feel comfortable. So let's get to number 1. Number 1 is obviously our friends need some social skills. One of the biggest problems with our friends with high functioning ASD is many times it's a social disorder. They do have a hard time interacting with their friends, with teachers, with their parents and siblings and things of that nature. So just as a general aspect, just working on social skills is really going to make a big difference. It's going to be, discussing with them how to handle certain situations, what to say, how to say it. It's going to take practice. But a lot of times, once these friends get into the habit and are feeling comfortable with what to say and how to say it, and they kind of have freedom to kind of interpret on their own, it works out very well. A lot of times in the beginning, when you're working with our friends with high functioning ASD, they have to kind of be given prompts at first to kind of get comfortable with what to say and how to say it in order to be socially acceptable. Many times one of the great parts of having high functioning ASD is that a lot of times they're right to the point. I mean, they really do handle their business, but other times it is not as seen as beneficial. And so being able to expand their social skills is really a good thing. And one of the best ways to do it that I've seen in my 20-year career with working with our friends is that you really can give them a foundation to work with, phrases to say, how do you respond or react to this situation, and what do you say in this situation? And it gives them kind of a platform or a foundation to work with, and as they feel more comfortable with practice and timing and working on these social skills, then they kind of blossom on their own, and they're able to kind of work out what works best for them, because they have that foundation of social skills, and they've been working at home and at school and at therapy and in different places that really kind of helps critique and puts them in the right direction. The second thing that you really want to do is with any ASD child, and as a matter of fact, with any child in general, is you really want to set up daily routines and daily timetables. Especially with our ASD friends, we have found that keeping a consistent schedule really makes a big difference. When you're talking about students and children in general, they do not, especially younger children, they do not really have a sense of time. Their sense of time is based upon the routines that they have. So they feel comfortable with a routine because they know what's next. They don't know that it's it's not 2 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever the case may be. They know it's time to use the bathroom and to wash their hands, or it's almost recess time, or it's almost sharing time. They know that with a consistent schedule, they know that this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and they feel comfortable and safe with what is happening throughout the day. There is a little bit less of an unknown. And what you'll find, and a lot of my friends will attribute to this, who have friends with ASD in any range, and like I said, even just young kids in general, if you change that routine, they really do have a hard time. So obviously, you can't plan for life. Things are always going to change, but if you can keep your schedules and your routines and timetables as consistent as you can, then that really does benefit the child. And eventually, once they get the habit of that routine, then you can kind of expand on that, and it then helps them be a little bit more versatile. But in the beginning, and for our friends that are just not responding well to change, keeping it consistent really makes a big difference. And then the last one is going to be enacting a safety word. A lot of times our friends get so frustrated. I've worked with very high functioning and very verbal ASD friends, and I've worked with friends who aren't as verbal, and there's a spectrum in between. But typically the high functioning ASD friends, they really do a good job of communicating once they get that practice. But a lot of times before then, they really do get frustrated because they don't quite know how to react to certain situations. And that can lead to frustration, and frustration leads to anger. And then of course, anger can lead to a meltdown. So a lot of times what I like to do with my students in general is just to come up with a safety word when they're feeling like they don't know how to communicate at this point because they're overwhelmed. They can give me a safety word, or a word that him and I, or she and I know that now it's time that they need a break. Or maybe they need some special attention, or maybe they need to take a break and go over to a station or something of that nature. They need to kind of calm themselves down. They need to desensitize, and they need to kind of get their composure back. And a lot of times, all they have to say is, let's say the safety word can be horse racing. It doesn't even have to make sense. It's just something that the child and it could be super, califragilisticexpialidocious. Obviously, that's a little long for this scenario, but it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as the child and that when they say that word, then a plan is in ready to go and is enacted, so that they can then start taking steps to make better choices and to calm down. And a lot of times that makes a really big difference, because what happens is you don't really notice sometimes when they're getting frustrated. They do a good job of hiding that a lot of times. And so eventually it builds up, and then they have a meltdown, and then you're not really quite sure why. And it's because they didn't have an opportunity or the necessity, maybe that's not the right word per se, they didn't have the ability at the time to let you know in a way that would be properly communicated. So all they now have to do is just give you a word. You know exactly what to do, and everybody is feeling good. My friends, as I mentioned before, this is just 3 of the 11 that we have on there. I really think that this makes some good practical sense These tips have come from 20 years of dealing with special needs friends. My wife is a special needs teacher. Obviously, we really are passionate about our friends. And so these are some tips that have really come in handy in our experience, but there are quite a bit more in the article. So go ahead and go to bestkidsolutions.com and look for the High Functioning ASD or Children with Asperger's article, and it'll give you all the detail that you need. My friends, if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I sure do appreciate it. And if you're interested in getting some more videos based upon what we believe are the most important people on this planet, if you want to get more information about kids, parents, and teachers, this is the channel for you. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we are going to be putting as many videos as we can to help these great people, because we really believe that when kids, parents, and teachers are taken care of, everybody else is going to do so much better. Those are the people that really make the difference. There's so many different avenues that these people really do, kind of caress society and really do help the growth in general. If we can help them in the long run, everybody will be better. My friends, thank you for watching. Before you go ahead and check out one of our other videos here. That's probably going to be very helpful if you're interested in hearing more about information to help kids, parents, and teachers. And of course, you're more than welcome to go over here and subscribe. Thank you very much, my friends. I appreciate everything, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.